I salute him, fellow Ghanaians, the nation's founder, Sergeant Kwame Nkrumah. May God bless him, Ghana showboy, Africa's great song, Sergeant Dr. Nkrumah.
Mami pay for the job. Did he can Asante Mai commissioner, commissioner, regional minister, why minister of transport or here airport known as Furiasama, Dincheni, and Waba, so on Ba. Now, Omama Bakwa Yapijan and Omobia so Androno. Francis Asensu Wache, Minister for Works and Housing. And your boss, National Security boss. One day now and then year, not so much until New Year. The House also regional chairman, famous chairman one, won to me. Now, Ujame, who's free, food and agriculture. Minister says so now or be the president. Minister. And pay you for no back only your pay president Minister of Trade and Industry or bedroom apa when you are a bomb.
Production of Alancharamanting and Akoto Afri, honorable ministers before me, it's just comic relief. I don't believe it constitutes an endorsement, and I can say from what I know that Nana does not endorse, he doesn't even like Chiramanting. You know why? I've told you already, for instance, that his forgiving spirit is very little. For all the years Chiramanting contested him, he's not been at peace with him. And more importantly, they see him as somebody who is not under their open strings they can control. It's rather Dr. Bawumia that they can control. And so if he wants a successor, I'm not sure that it is Alan Chiramanting that he wants. And let me make it clear. When he even said that those who want to succeed to his position, he has no position. The presidency is not somebody's possession. If he's talking about the MPP flag bearer, it's a different matter. But the presidency of Ghana is for the people of Ghana who elect those who they believe is qualified and best suited to handle their interests and aspirations. So let me make that abundantly clear. I didn't see that, and I don't still see it as an endorsement, because I know he will never endorse Chiramanting. He will not endorse him. Even though in the MPP, and let me say that today, you know, in the time of President Kufuor, when they were going for the flag bearer race, there was a slogan that they couch: "Take your government, we take our party." Exactly, that is what is happening today in the ranks of many MPP members. They are telling Nana Akufo-Addo to take his government, they will take their party. So many MPP people are not going to follow whatever choice that he wants. They can have all the resources, they have the money, they have the everything, but I'm telling you that deep down in the ranks of the party, the people at the grassroots and others in their party know. And they themselves, they have said that in the MPP, and I remember it was Nana Akufo-Addo himself who said it, that they have a tradition. That first, when it went through to Dankwanko, it came to Buzia, then to Victor Wusu and others. Then from Victor Wusu to Edubuahini. From Edubuahini, then it came to President J. Kufuor. And so from Kufuor, it was his turn. So it says that they are in a queue, they are in the one Dogodogo line. So where is Bawumia's position in that line? When did he contest the presidential slot? Because it is deemed that those who are in the line are those who featured and contested in that one Dogodogo line. Where is he? So if you take even their own tradition that they talked about, upon which even Nana Akufo-Addo himself stake a claim to power, where is he? But I'm just saying that for me, it was the comic relief of introducing them before Nana, saying that they are running to take my seat. It's the seat of the people of Ghana. And let me say that in clear language.
This is an issue that has gone on over and over and over again. Every year we have this issue. My personal experience with it must have been over 10 years ago, and it hasn't changed till today as we speak. What's so special about this year's issue?
Okay. Thank you very much, and good evening to the viewers. I must say that this year's one has taken a different dimension because of the notice. I think I have the notice here. The notice that accompanying the results. The notice that accompanying the results. I'll try and get it for you. Yeah. Because of this notice.
Can I have a notice? I'd like to read it out.
Yeah,
so this notice says, candidates or applicants who obtained the minimum threshold mark of 50% each in the two sections for A and B, that's part A and part B of the exam, are eligible to be considered for admission by the General Legal Council for the 2021-2022 academic year to pursue the professional law court. The decision of the General Legal Council in respect of the published results of the entrance examination is final. Please be informed accordingly, and it's signed by Kwesi Prempeh Ek, the one and only Director of Legal Education in Ghana.
Okay. Thank you. So this year's own, by this notice, the effect of this notice is that the consistent practice that if you get 50%, minimum 50% cumulatively, but the effect of this notice is that you can still get a 50% and still fail, because my understanding of this notice is that section A, you ought to have gotten 50%. 50% means 20, at least 20 over 40, and then the section B, you ought to have gotten 50%. Well, that means at least 30 or above over 60. So it is the summation of the two parts that will give you the pass mark. So you can do very well in section A. If you fail to get 50% in section B, per this notice, please take note, per this notice, you have failed. You get a point. So that is what has brought about the controversy, the effect of this notice. Today we had a press conference. The SRC's position is clear that yes, we will come to the details. The General Legal Council is an administrative body. You see, administrative bodies, they perform administrative functions, and by performing the administrative function, they exercise discretionary powers. And the Constitution is clear, Article 29 says, on what the manner in which discretionary powers ought to be exercised. They ought to be fair and candid. You get a point. And there's an issue of prior notice. Whereas at this notice, as it has come with there, I also have here the advert of Daily Graphic.
Oh, that's a lot. We can't read all of it.
Yeah, page 28, May 14th. This advert contains the criteria for this year qualification to the law school, and this advert also indicated that all applicants to write the entrance exams. It would have been best if this notice had accompanied the advert. Then the element of prior notice, the candidate who starts for the exam will have been informed before they wrote the exam that, oh, this exam you ought to perform for both.
But this year, we are shifting the goalpost. Essentially is what you're saying. There should be notice that for this year we are shifting the goalpost. Isn't that what you're saying?
Well, I'm saying that for this year, I want my point to be made clear without because I've made comment and then bloggers pick it, and I'm very careful when I'm speaking now. I'm saying that the effect of this notice is that you can pass, you can get 57, you can get 60 and still fail, because if you fail to get 50% in a particular session, you have failed. You get a point. The position of the SRC is that this notice ought to have accompanied the adverts as at May, so that those candidates will know that, oh, then they have to prepare very well for both sessions, for objective and then session B. But the notice as it stands now, the notice as it stands now, it's unfair. That's the position of the SRC. It's unfair.
Okay. So let's break this down.
Yes, you see, let me add to what he is saying.
Right.
You see, at the inception, at the beginning, you need to make the ground rule very clear and understandable to all those who are coming to write the exam. For them to know that for each part, you need to get a pass mark for it to qualify for the law school. But if you make an advert that if you have 50%, you are qualified to be admitted to the law school, then after the examination, then you are coming out to set the rule. That is where I have a problem.
Shifting the
For instance, when I was entering the law faculty in 1997, the ground rule was that they will admit minimum of aggregate 6, 150 students, and after first university examination, they will admit only 60 students, and they refer to it as the best 60.
Right.
So after the first university examination, they will go in and take your raw marks, put it in a computer, and the computer will cut it at 50. So you can even have A. If you are not among the best 60, it doesn't matter your grade. Definitely, you have to go to another faculty. When I entered the law school, you will be made to understand that you must pass all the courses that you are doing. You must pass all at the city. And we have had 6 courses in a year. If you have 4 A's and 49...
Let's salute him, fellow Ghanaians, the nation's founder, Sajifo Kwame Nkrumah. May God bless him, Ghana show boy, Africa's great son, Sajifo Dr. Nkrumah.
Very good morning to you wherever you are. Thank you very much for joining the mother of all talk shows, ALHAJI and ALHAJI, live on Pan-African television. And I'm guessing if you're watching us on television, you're watching us on any of the digital channel, TV. Thank you for making time. But we're also heavy on social media, specifically YouTube and Facebook. Just use Pan-African television. Pan-African television can get to watch us. 2 handles, one on Facebook, one on YouTube. A big thank you to our partner stations across the country. A big thank you to Volta One TV in Ho and Global FM, that is their sister station. A big thank you to the several other radio stations that are currently tuning to us. A big thank you to Ahunto 92.3 FM. My name is Sena Nombo. It's my pleasure to welcome you, the mother of all talk shows, ALHAJI and ALHAJI. Here we say it as it is, no matter who is involved in the end, we'll leave you better educated. Let me say a big thank you to the production team here. And today we are discussing the issue of the race for who becomes the flag bearer of the new patriotic party for the 2024 elections. It's an interesting issue to discuss at this time, because if you look at the MPP's constitution, what it says is that they will do an election about a year to the elections. But it looks like the race has started quite early. President Nana Akufo-Addo, when he went to the Otumfuo and Santini, actually introduced 2 people he said he knew had presidential ambitions. There are other names that are being thrown up. In fact, Boache Jako, former Minister of Energy, actually admitted when he was with the group that's going around doing their constituency conferences that he is also interested in becoming president. Dr. Bawumia's name has been mentioned. The name of Mr. Dainimo has also been mentioned. And of course, Mr. Jogati actually didn't get renominated to be a minister because he was said to have presidential ambition. So the names keep increasing. And we'll be talking about that in our very first discussion. And then we'll move on to the issue of the Ghana School of Law. Over 2,000 students applied. Over 700 were given the opportunity to enter into the school. There were demands for the publication of the full results. It was found that there were people who got as much as 60 didn't get admitted, and somebody got 51 and got admitted. Questions were asked and answers have been given. We'll be discussing that issue because ahead of the election, it seemed that issue was dealt with because the admission was mammoth in 2020. What happened this year is a question everyone is asking. And then we'll talk about the Teachers Award Day, World Teachers Day, and the issues that are arising from there. There were some teachers who were not happy that neither the president or the Minister of Education or the Vice President, none of them turned up. And he said this was not the first time that had happened. We'll be talking about that in our last topic. Once again, welcome and thank you for joining us. Joining me this morning for the discussion is Mr. Kwesi Prajna, who is managing editor of the Insight newspaper. We are joined by ALHAJI Inusa Fuseni, who is a former member of parliament for Tamale Central. At one point in time, the ranking member on the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee. In fact, in 2019, the issue of the law school entrance exam actually came before their committee. We don't know how it was resolved. So I guess when it gets to that point, he'll give us a bit, some more details about that. And then Dr. Adumako Kisi is member of parliament for Anya Soweto, joining us this morning. Sitting close to me is Margaret Hanse, joins us this morning. Thank you very much for making time. Please share your thoughts with us as we go along in the show. You can use our WhatsApp line or text message line, or if you're watching us via social media, just use the comment section. I'll read it when we get there. Thank you. We'll take a short break, very brief one. When we come back, we'll start a discussion on the MPP flag bearership race, and Doc will start for us.
Live in a society that allows culture to dictate how far a woman is allowed to reach in life. Hey, where's I am? Wow, by force. I love that song. You know, be by force. If you don't like me, be divorce. I don't remember. But the fact that I'm even saying this, I'm sure there are some of you are thinking that, hey, this woman, she's hard. Oh, no. So, it's frustrating because the fact of the matter is, as women and as girls, we hold no value. And yet still these basic, retarded human beings, when their wives are giving birth, they're asking for a female gynecologist. Why would I leave him for this woman? So that she can, are you mad? You yourself are not enjoying. So if the other woman comes to collect this your headache, you thank God. I didn't have the right to look like this. So David, by now I can send my front to my I'm sorry now. Hey, I said I'll be for the next 10 years. That's what was expected of me. And then there's the fact they do the sound effect.
Let's salute him, fellow Ghanaians, the nation's founder, Sergeant Kwame Nkrumah. May God bless him, Ghana show boy, Africa's great song, Sergeant Dr. Nkrumah.
Well, welcome back from that break. If you're just joining us, the Mother World Talk Shows ALHAJI and ALHAJI live on Pan African Television, also live on Ahunto 92.3 FM, Volto 1 TV, and several other affiliates. Thank you for joining us. We're talking about, we're starting actually with the MPP flag bearership race. And like I said, Dr. Dixon Adumako Kisi will start for us. Doc.
Well, thank you once again. I'm always happy to be here, Sena. And greetings to our viewership from across the continent of Africa and beyond. And I like the idea that Facebook Live is also working. To this very topic of flag bearership and the leadership of the MPP party post the governance of Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, it's been a very big topic within the party. But I think I'll take this opportunity and reiterate something that the president said,
after his introduction of the two fine gentlemen, which was our Great Minister and our Trade Minister, he went on further to say that he will not endorse any particular candidate, and that he will let the people make the choice, and then after that campaign hard for whoever the party selects. And I think that rightly so, per his position as the president and his position as the current leader for party affairs, I think that is the appropriate position. And I actually commend our president for taking such a bold position publicly, not just in-house, but publicly, making people aware that he's not supporting any particular candidate. And I'll take reference from also even President Kufuor, in as much as at the time we were under the impression that he was for one particular candidate. Later on, revelations indicated that he supported actually a lot more people than just that one person. So it was almost like a game of chess. He put his money, into all the various candidates, and I think this happens to many leaders. Even in my own self, at my local level, when people were vying for chairmanship, I had to support all of them so that I don't, as it is, appear to be leaning towards one person. So I see how that is possible. But one thing we are preaching in the party is that we have to govern well first, so that the party becomes very attractive, more attractive to our base, so that we can add more and retain power. So I'm of the opinion that, frankly speaking, every party faithful should fight for good governance now, because there's no point in winning presidential flag bearership and losing the main election. So I'm preaching hard everywhere I go that we make sure that what we have, what we are holding, we perform very well, so that we are able to retain power regardless of who becomes our flag bearer. And it leads me to one key thing that I wrote about, that our government institutions must be well run, so that invariably, when we have a candidate like Trump, it won't matter, because the institutions that we have in this country through the years are working very well, and our presidents may sway us in one direction or the other, but invariably, like a German machine, it works very well. If the driver is very good, the race will be won. If the driver is not very good, you may not win the race. So that is my mentality, and I speak for a lot of people within the party. Unfortunately, some people get labeled one way or the other. Some have come out publicly, said, either they are for our Vice President, His Excellency Mahmoud Bawumia, and some are also openly for Alan. But I think that, as you rightly said, the elections will be a year to the main general election, and though it might seem too early per what the president did in Kumasi, I think that a lot of us should be patient and pray hard that what we have, what we are holding now, we hold it well, so that the good people of Ghana, including my abled opposition party, will see that, these guys are doing well, we don't even have to come, and that is what I'm hoping for, that the governance will be far much better than what we have, and Ghanaians will be happy with our work, our stewardship, and then say, okay, we can give them another round, and demonstrate to us that truly, when we entrusted them with another mandate, they performed very well. So that would be my 2 cents with regards to this. Personally, when the president and Alan had their battles, I was not in Ghana, So I didn't experience the heat of, Nana Danko Akufo-Addo and Allen. And, I came into political work, active work, after we had a flag bearer already. And that gives me a different, perception of all of this. But I think and hope that what is also key, the party has to be together. Unity is very important, regardless of how the battle ensues. If we do not unite after this battle, we will not be formidable to withstand, the pressures of opposition, and then the pressures of our society, which has that tendency of saying that, Charlie, 8 years, you should go for another party to come. That is actually a more issue of concern for me, so that our country seems to be towing that line regardless of your performance. And I think that we need to be very mindful of that. We cannot just say that, 8 years are soon to call. We should be more focused on performance, year to year, term to term, and the leadership demonstrated by the particular individual. So we'll see, and invariably too, I think, per what I'm hearing on the grounds, the NDC has almost invariably decided on one candidate. That's what I'm hearing, and I think that in as much as we're going to battle as the MPP, it's also important that we see who will be a good contender in the match, in the ring, with regards to whatever opposition party is also bringing. So that's what I would end on. Yeah.
Thank you, Doc. Let me go to ALHAJI, and before I read the messages, I don't have much, so let me go to ALHAJI. When I come back, I read the message.
Says, and it's a long time. Yeah. Congratulations. I never got to congratulate you.
Thank you.
Dr. Adubaku says he was not here when the contest for a flag bearership of MPP was taking place. So he's not able to assess the intensity of the campaign.
Then.
Yes. I'll give you just a bit of it. The election of the flag bearership of the MPP.
Yeah.
The flag bearer of the MPP took place at Lagos in the M block of the University of Ghana. Afoko and Co were very active. Money spoke volumes in that meeting.
You're saying?
Yeah, and some people were actually beaten in that meeting. They were beaten because it was really intense. I mean, all indications was that the president then, President Kufo, was supporting Alan.
Oh, okay.
And that generated the nudge that Nana Akufo-Addo came up with, the name of Frititi. Because he wanted to counter whatever perception that was there in the public that President Kufo was supporting Alan. And so he wanted to stress on his association, his roots in the party. But the guy who was beaten was the organizer of the party then. He's now working at the Flagstaff House as
Director of Operations.
Director of Operations. Yeah, so he
not coming.
Yes. Yeah, so that was how it was. But that appeared to be.
You have history, pal.
I'm a student of history.
I'm listening.
Yeah, that appeared to be some dark clouds hanging over the MPP now, and there might be an implosion in the party.
You think so?
I think so. I think the party, as a dispassionate observer, watching what is happening within the MPP on the sidelines, the party is clearly divided between those who support Nana Akufo-Addo and his government, and those who are MPP but have deep misgivings and are deeply dissatisfied with the way Nana Akufo-Addo is handling the MPP. It's just clear. I mean, it's there. Now, Nana Akufo-Addo himself and his government has not helped matters. Somehow, people have come to believe that you must be close to Nana Akufo-Addo's government and his people, the actors, before you are recognized. So it creates some form of kleptocracy, okay, within the MPP. And there are many people who are MPP today who are on they fought for the party, they work for the party, but they still think that they are not part of this government. I've heard people say that it is better for there to be a break after Nana Akufo-Addo for the party itself to reclaim its past glory, to reorganize itself for the purposes of future elections. Because the fear is simply that they do not want, and I'm speaking because I've had a lot of interaction with people, and I'm speaking the voices of many MPP guys who have had the confidence in me to repose these matters, I mean, share these concerns with me. Because the fear is simply this: if Nana Akufo-Addo's clique perpetuate themselves in power, then you might have a UNC going forward. You get it? Because it means that some people remove from the spoil and they don't want it. Now, Nana Akufo-Addo's government, too, in the last 4 years and now, have gotten themselves into messy deals. Terrible. And it's like a crescendo they were building up during the first term of Nana Akufo-Addo. But now it's like a snowball. You know, when it's rolling, it's that, and then grows in size. Because the matters that we are hearing are very frightening. Very, very frightening. There is a direct attack on the public purse that people put in positions of authority by this president. Corruption and corrupt activities have been thrown out of the window. It's no longer part of the lexicon of the government. Now, because whether in power or in opposition, must be able to protect the clique, this present clique. You get the reason? Because if the next leader adopts I don't care attitude, then many of them will have to run away, or they will languish in jail. So the clique is now looking for somebody who will protect them after they have left office, and they will leave office. They will leave office. That explains the reason why that Akoto Afriye has come into the frame. Because the roots of the vice president in the MPP are so shallow. They're so shallow. They are like the roots of a rice plant. Yes,
proverbial.
So it's easy to uproot. Very, very easy to uproot. Moreover, there's no, lineage connection with the MPP. From his father, who started politics in the Nombo area, not as a liberal, not as recruiting is not difficult. And so, who can be, in the event that Nana Akufo-Addo leaves office, who can he rely on and build the protection base, solid protection for Nana Akufo-Addo and his clients? Nobody. There's nobody. I have a deep feeling that the introduction that was made, because the General Secretary of the MPP, John Guido, has sounded a strong warning to persons who harbored presidential ambitions, not to be seen to be campaigning to derail the second term of Nana Akufo-Addo in the campaign. And like Dr. Adumaku said, it is important to secure the legacy of the party based on good governance, that who will succeed the president. That it comes, of course, naturally, if you are able to deliver good governance, if you are able to deliver prosperity in this country, then the people can repose their confidence in the party. And it doesn't matter who leads the party, because the party policy. I have a feeling that it was precisely because of Kuto Afri that the president did what he did in Kumasi. He wanted to sound clearly, make it sound clearly that Akoto Afriye is well connected to the Ashantis. Not because of Asante Hine, but the larger Asante group. That is the son of powerful Akoto.
Your linguist.
Your linguist. He was sending a message not to Asante Hine, but to the larger. And everybody knows that the dynamics of political election in Ghana can better be understood in terms of numbers. The delegates in the MPP, which group contributes the largest? Clearly the Akan group. Clearly. And the Akan group are still holding on fearlessly to traditional authority. Traditional authority. So what better place to introduce Akoto Afriye than the Ashanti Hills Palace? Let everybody know that Akoto Afriye is the grandson of the Asante Hine, and his father worked in this palace. It was not for so Bafakutu is a palace boy. It's a palace boy. It's reminiscent of J.B. Danko's politics. What he did is reminiscent of J.B. Danko's politics. That those who have relations or links with the traditional authorities are best suited to govern. Yeah, that's how Buzia, no relation to the chieftaincy institution emerged. They had to adapt him into the chieftaincy institution to be able to grow him to become a leader. But consequent on the introduction, I can tell you that any of the presidential hopefuls has seen him with anger. They're angry. Because the visit to Kumasi was not to introduce flag bearers. Was it? That had nothing to do with the flag bearer. The flag bearer race of the MPP is 2 years away. Why did he? How do you explain that he tied some people's hands behind their backs and released others' hands? Was it fair? Is it being fair? I tell you, some flag bearers are really annoyed. And they point to the fact that what he did was another evidence of the capture of the party. And that they should fight to free their the party from the claws of Nana Akufo-Addo and his cabal. That's why I say there's an implosion. That's why everybody has suspected that Gwaja Jako was interested in contesting. Until the announcement, you could only see teasers on Facebook of Gwaja Jako, sometimes greeting people in the Islamic faith language, and sometimes drawing inspiration from Quranic verses. I don't know what that was intended to mean, whether he was trying to court the favor of Muslims within the MPP. But what Nana Akufo-Addo did in Kumasi gave him the courage and confidence to declare boldly that he's interested in contesting. For the first time. And many people are going to declare. You might have more than 17. The last time was 16 also. You might have more than 17. Many people are coming out to contest. And so let's watch it. I believe that as a president should be interested in who succeeds him, but must not manipulate the process to get his successor. Everybody must be interested. If you are a leader, you must be interested in who succeeds you, but don't manipulate the process for the purposes of getting your successor. If you do so, your successor's failings will be visited on you. And so it is hoped that Nana Akufo-Addo, even though and Alan contested him several times, and we know about politics in Ghana. Alan contested him several times. He said it at the palace.
He's got you to speak tree.
Yes. Yeah, so and you know the acrimony and all those things in contesting. And you know Nana Akufo-Addo. You know him. I know him. He's my. I know him. I know him. And so I don't think that he will support Alan.
Why do you?
I don't also think that he will have the confidence that Alan will protect him. I don't also think that way. That's my thinking. That's my view. I might be wrong.
You're free to have that.
Yes, I might be wrong. And so he's gravitating, and I heard it long ago. Which and I was on a platform, a sister platform of this station, when somebody of your party informed me that the grounds were shifting under the way. And when I said it here, people were shocked. Many people were surprised. I said it before he went to Kumasi to do that meeting. Because someone had told me that precisely because of protection, Nana Akufo-Addo was shifting around. But let's watch it and see what happens.
Well, thank you very much, ALHAJI. Let me do a couple of the messages before I go to my goal that you're sending to us through Facebook. Well, if you just join us, the matter talk shows ALHAJI and ALHAJI. We are discussing like ALHAJI said, the 2 years too early flag bearership race of the New Patriotic Party. AU Farouk in Tamale is saying good morning to us and says, Alan, a Greek minister, want my seat. Seriously, this statement by President Nana-Addo is a betrayal on the part of Dr. Bawumia. So soon, Dr. Bawumia is being whipped in the face at all costs. Time will tell. Hebola Ukudado says conditions now in Ghana is calling for remedy. Ghana is bleeding in full gear. Akufo-Addo and MPP have impregnated a bloody revolution waiting to be delivered. Ghana, be very careful and let history not repeat itself. Bubunato, you have killed me. So Atik Bazukba. I hope I got the name. That's a solid name. So the people pushing us to accept. Okay, you are talking about gayism and lesbianism. Do not accept polygamy. Why are we not pushing them to accept polygamy? But we are here with greedy professors and lawyers who want to force us to accept this nonsense. Desmond Techi is also saying, good morning. Benefit managing editor of Daily Dispatch report didn't come out with the fact that MPP national delegates won't vote for Dr. Usu Efri-Akoto in the presidential primaries. We should know that Dr. Usu Efri-Akoto has worked awesomely well in the agri sector. That made His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo mention his presidential ambition because he deserves to be given the nod to lead MPP in the 2024 general elections. Dr. Usofia Akoto has been the best agri minister ever after implementation of agriculture flagship programs, which have earned Ghana an enviable reputation globally, despite the fuel prices which are skyrocketing worldwide. Dr. Usofia Akoto has been able to make fertilizers available for Ghanaian farmers. Hashtag best agri minister ever. Hashtag the current saving army of the economy of Ghana. That is coming from Desmond Techi. Foseno Sibu. Okay, good morning to you. Mande William Jikunu says, I have this question from Mr. Pratt here and our great King Utun for are the only people who speak truth without fear and favor. But now, he's sitting here, I'll read it. But now Kwesi is afraid to speak. I'm advising him to be honest because a lot of people are learning from him. Jantong Dabushi is joining us. Says, and we know very well that Dr. Bawumia cannot lead MPP party come 2024 because President Akufo-Addo doesn't want the northern, the northerners to lead the party. So now the good people of Savannah region are waiting for 2024 to come for us to rescue our lost seat during 2020 general election. And I encourage all members who want to do law in this country to vote for John Mahama and NDC party because the correct laws are in NDC. Sena, please. Okay. It says we are facing network challenges in my community. Francis Gordon says it is too early to pinpoint who will lead the MPP in the next elections. They have not performed in government at all. It will be very difficult for the party to choose the leader. Let us pray that they don't fight this time around. And Nefi Adam says we have heard comments he has made about Bawumia. We also heard how he was mocking Alan and the Greek minister. Good morning to Honorable Inusa Fuseni. Send that from Tamale Central. Elizabeth Joyce Akolo says, how come Alan Cash wants to be president when he's not able to oppose the evil deeds of the Akufo-Addo? He shows as a cabinet member he supports every evil. Abdul Basit is joining us. Okay, he is also talking about LGBT. He says we are Africans, Christians, Muslims, morally and traditionally LGBT club plus is totally haram. He says. Paulus says when it comes to Utu Senya East, we are happy change has happened. We should support Honorable Madam Anita in prayers in working hard to change Utu Senya East. That's from him. Ryoyu Minho says, what's the meaning of this at this time? Wouldn't they focus on developing the country? Margo.
Sena, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning to my elders and our brother from the other side. Then to your listeners on the various platforms, your cherished viewers and all your Facebook viewers. It's been a while. And you are looking good.
Thank you.
Sena, the MPP flag bearership race heats up. On the PRFM in Kumasi recently, the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, said something. He said he has to be in the middle to create balance in the party, and that he's not supposed to support somebody against the will of the party, and the decisions will come from the MPP, the over 10,000 whatever delegates. That is what he said. So now you mentioned earlier that the flag bearership race per their constitution should be a year before the main election. So I mean, they are early days yet. But I remember during the Alan and Nana Addo Dankwa's race, something happened to an extent that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo did not get the required percentage to be called a flag bearer when he ran with Alan. But there was an indoor consensus that he let him go. So in as much as the party was supposed to go for whether a popular acclamation for the yes or no voting, there was a consensus where the Alan people, agreed to let him go. So nobody took the issue up. So Alan chairmanting all this while, whether Nana Addo became the president or the flag bearer or whatever, he knew Nana Addo was going to successfully and, without any challenge or whatever, hand over the baton to him, because there was a gentleman's agreement. So what I heard at the palace the other day, I was like, what has changed? Because it was a quid pro quo. Alan scratched his back, for him to scratch his back this time. For you to go to Asantehene and instead of telling him about your projects and your development, you were commissioning your ministers who wants to be president. Sena, a president who's gone on a tour has his strongest base. Instead of showing us earth-shattering projects, mentioning them projects that Sena you can touch and feel, he was rather introducing people, ministers of his cabinet who are from Ashanti region and who are eyeing his seats. So now we've heard very, very strong NPP, even some claim they are the president's lawyer, who said that they will not allow a Muslim to lead the NPP. Ben Efson also reported it, that based on even what the interview that their majority leader said, Chairman Sabunsu said that, and if they get an Akan candidate again, it will not other well for the ruling government, because it will seem they are really a party of Akans and they are closing their doors to the other minority parties. And we've heard the president's pastor or his prophet also made it very clear, unless I didn't hear him well, that they cannot allow Baumia to be their flag bearer. So now, upon all this, putting everything together with what the president did at Ashantehene's palace, I kept thinking, because when he went to the northern region, he went with Baumia. He introduced Baumia as alone, this is, this is your own, blah, blah, blah. And when he went to Ashanti region, he introduced two people.
No, let me just come in small.
Okay.
He actually had a lot of ministers. He introduced all of them, including the regional
chairman, the regional chairman, and even the regional minister.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let me just a small. I will let her finish. I was just saying that.
Don't worry.
Yeah, that bit is very crucial.
You see, the point is that he introduced the Chemawun to me, the one who has gold in Ashanti region, your chairman, the Opokuwari student. Then he also introduced your regional chairman. But the two people, his agric minister and his trade minister, and the width that came with the statements, say, oh, Nana, we're president in Nachepa. But from where I came from, I felt that it was a betrayal. And he was even mocking Alan Chemantin. He's forgotten what the gentleman did for him some years back. When we are bringing people as political parties to front the party or to be on the front line to lead the party and is able to form a government one day to lead this country, I think we have to look at personal attributes of the people. It's very, very, very important. So that you don't go to your strong base and commission your ministers while you cannot even talk about projects. Or that Asantehene doesn't know Alan Chemantin and Akoto Efriye. These people he mentioned, even just the two, Alan Chemantin and Akoto Efriye, as sector ministers, Sena, what have they done for this country? In their various sectors. The Akoto Efriye, the agric minister. Is the presidency by birthright, or how is it like? Have you thought about the ordinary Ghanaian, what you are offering the Ghanaian, the ordinary person, the people you are projecting or you are presenting? Have you thought about how their leadership have affected or will affect the ordinary citizens? Because we need these political parties to get us leaders to form government one day and form better policies for the citizens. What did Alan Chemantin do as Minister of Trade? What as the minister who claims that how do you call it, plantain was costing 3 to 5 cedis, when even a finger of plantain at that time was more than the 5 cedis? Are these the people he was presenting to the Asantehene or to the country? Are these the people? What are the important issues as a president of this country? So now look at what we are going through as a country. Then you go and make fun of these things when you have 2 years ahead of you to do this. this thing should. I was even expecting a party, a regional chairman, or maybe a party forum where the party executive should even talk about this. Not him, because at that particular moment we needed something very serious, something very important to the ordinary citizen from the president. Not the jokes that he went to share. Not the jokes. We needed things that you could touch. Nana, I am here to commission the KJTR phase 2, to commission maybe the Afari hospital, to commission the Atonsu market or whatever. These were the things that the ordinary person at Atonsu market was expecting the president of this country to tell us. He is still our president, and we expect him to deliver per his promises he gave to the citizens. It is too early to start sharing jokes. He should leave these things for Wuntumis and the John Boedus and co. Not him, because he is still our president. Therefore, when he goes there, he should say things that the ordinary person is expecting him to say, or to give them the hope. Because he gave Ghanaians high hopes. That is why some were swaying in voting for him. It is too early for the concert party. Sena, we are in serious crisis as a country. Nothing is going on. Sena, everything is in a mess. So when you see a president and he's in such playful mood as if he has nothing at stake, it tickles my heart. It's so appalling. I'm telling you. It's also appalling. Commission things. You've gone to the region to say things that, you know, the people can identify themselves with. You are going to commission ministers. Ministers that have been with you, and we have not seen any impact. We have not. Bawumia, as the vice president, Sena, what has he brought to the table? He's moved from things about the economy. He's moved to digitization. Now he's on street naming and property addressing. We cannot find him anywhere. There was a committee or a commission of 40 adults, like a classroom where they've put 40 students together. Bawumia was not even named to go and say open prayer when they wanted to arrest the city. He was not even part of the 40-man squad. A Saito class, he was not even part. The vice president that we voted for, that he was an economic messiah, as they presented to us during their campaigning. Sena, we must be serious for once. We are not saying they shouldn't go for their flag ration, but it is too early. And I am saying that because this gentleman is still the president of this country, not his political party. Therefore, he should know the distinction. It is too early. It is too early. I have lived in Ashanti region for some years. I have families there. We are looking. He said he's done roles more than any president. I don't know who writes his speeches for him. Go to Ashanti region and ask of the roads. You see, we need serious things. When I put myself in the shoes of like the people going through, students cannot even, the roles they are using, travelers, market women and all. When you sit down and think about all these things and you don't see your president being so serious and so concerned, so now as a youth, it worries me a lot. It worries me. We are not saying they shouldn't do their flag bearer, but it is too early. He should behave like a president of this country, not a president or a flag bearer of MPP. Whoever is eyeing his seat, I was even expecting him to think about the people that he was even presenting to the Ashanti or to the country or to his strong base, whether they have even made impact on the soil that they were on, whether they've even made impact. Alan Chamantin, as a trade minister, how many factories has he built in the Ashanti region? The agric minister, the giraffe farms, whatever, what has he done? He should have mentioned their name and tell them that, yeah, under his ministry, he has built so and so factory at Denyame or at Ninehi. That would have been a bit reasonable. That would have been a bit serious. That would have been a bit presidential. But you don't just go and mention him and you even say Alan Cash and whatever. I mean, Sena, please, he should get serious. Sena, let's look at the most important things. Me, for Nana Akufo-Addo, before I wasn't interested in who becomes a flag bearer of opposition party, but for Nana Akufo-Addo straight as a president of this country, sometimes I get worried. So as a Christian, probably I will pray that they will get somebody who has the heart of a human being, the heart of a mother, a heart that will care, so that in the unlikely event in the next 30-40 years, if that person may still be alive and comes to head this country again, we'll do better things. We'll continue from where probably we left. But apart from that, I was not interested in all this. It is. I will borrow Professor Mills's phrase that do fearsome and can make me fearsome. But because of Akufo-Addo they presented to us and the mess he is creating, sometimes I get worried and I pray for them as well. But I will ask the president that wherever he goes, whether if he goes to the Bono region or if he comes to the Eastern region, if he has people from that region and he wants to talk about them, he should introduce them to us as this minister. This is what he has done for this region. This is what he has done under his ministry. These are the benefits, employment, I mean, those things, so that it will look more of a presidential than the concert party he went there to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I go to Mr. Pratt, Ekoama says, Mago, he's done with his presidency. All he's doing now is resting till 2024. Koshi Badon says, we make issues out of nothing. The president meant nothing. It was just being at his showmanship best. It was in the Ashanti region, and he must demonstrate to Otumfuo that Ashanti has a strong representation in his government in terms of number and prominence. A few more of messages you're sending to us. Okay. Vincent Kisford Bedu says a good morning to us, and says Alhaji and Alhaji watching live from Bremen in Germany. Ibrahim Abdul Mubarak Campus says, Sena, whether Alan or Ato, NDC is winning, the winning team, inshallah. Elizabeth Joyce Akola. Okay, I think I read that. Jawa Sheila says, Baumia will only try, but he knows more than everyone that as far as he is not non-acan, he can never ever be a president on the MPP ticket, he says. Esua, is it Kabela, says, we the people of Jammu rally behind the president's nominee. Okay, he's talking about the assembly election. Abdul Basit, okay, I think I've read Abdul Basit too. Agonaba MP says, Ghana is not for NDC party and not for any party in Ghana, but for citizens of Ghana. If a committee report of a jury is not accepted by the NDC party, okay, he said they can go and drink the sea. Well, very interesting. Okay, so Benson Law says, I agree with Madame in a sense that it's too early to talk about who leads the MPP. Also, let's ask, is the MPP worth discussing at all, let alone talk about who is their next lead, who their next leader will be. With all that they have taken us through, oh Sena, please do us this favor. Eric Anoamwa says there was nothing in the construction basket to share with the Ashantis than to introduce his failed ministers. Alhaji Baba Oman says Nanado didn't do anything to talk about in Kumasi, so he can only talk about his ministers. Mr. Pratt.
Well, I think this discussion can only be meaningful within a context. What is the context within which we are talking about possible successors to the current president, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo? Clearly, aspiration to the presidency and so on ought to be about only one thing. It ought to be about resolving the concrete difficulties that confront the Ghanaian people. It is only within that context that this discussion becomes meaningful. Otherwise, choice between Baumia, Alan, Kunedua, Preku, and so on is meaningless and totally irrelevant. You see, we are having this discussion in the second term of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. It is obvious that by 2024, he will cease to be president of the Republic of Ghana. Unless, of course, he does an Alpha Conde or Alassane Ouattara and so on. But I'm sure that in Ghana, nobody will be allowed to be an Alpha Conde or Alassane Ouattara. The consequences of that will be grave for anybody and for the entire country. So I'm confident that that is not going to happen. So whatever we like, whether we like it or not, by January 2025, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo would not become president of Ghana, will still not be president of the Republic of Ghana. Now, many leaders of the New Patriotic Party have said that they're going to make history. They're going to make history by becoming the first political party since 1992 to hold office for more than 2 terms. How is that possible? What is the strategy? You cannot discuss the strategy without thinking about who is likely to become the flag bearer of the party. But there are more important things to think about in this discussion. And the reality today is that today, government of Ghana cannot pay its workers without borrowing. The government of Ghana has to borrow in order to pay its workers. The reality today is that the Flagstaff House cannot continue to function without borrowing. The reality today is that a large chunk of our revenue is being expended on debt servicing. The reality today is that if any sector you look at, what you find is crisis. The reality today is that the immediate past Minister of Works and Housing, Honorable Atacha, has told us that he could not perform because there were no resources. Resource allocation to his ministry was inadequate and therefore he could not perform. The reality today is that in spite of the ravaging COVID-19 pandemic, we have not been able to buy vaccines. We are traveling around the world making lala sulala for people to give us some vaccines. Without the benevolence of countries like Germany, the United States of America and so on, our people would die like flies. That's our reality. In the course of this discussion, there have been 1 or 2 text messages extolling the performance of Honorable Akoto Afriye. In fact, one of the text messages said that is the best agric minister Ghana has ever had. And I was wondering whether the person who sent the text message is coming from Cuckoo's Land. How can anybody say that when the minister himself, not his opponent, not the NDC, not the CPP, not the PNC, when the minister himself has told us in plain language that even the procurement of fertilizer for farmers has become a headache, and that he cannot find money to pay for fertilizers being used on the Planting for Food and Jobs program. This is the minister himself. Indeed, within the last 3 years, the price of maize has almost tripled. This is the best performance in the agri sector. Now, only last week, the executive director of the Kufuor Foundation launched his book on General Acheampong, the Acheampong era. The executive director of the Kufuor Foundation, not the general secretary of the NDC and so on, launched a book. And it is clear what the Acheampong regime achieved in food production, in agriculture. How does this minister's performance compare to the performance of Colonel Banasco in the agricultural sector? Colonel Banasco, as a Greek minister, managed to make Ghana self-sufficient in food production in 2 years. Ghana became a net exporter of grains in 2 years and so on. So please don't throw things at us the historical record is there. You understand? And text messages to radio and television stations do not change the facts. This Minister of Agriculture cannot, under any circumstances, be described as the best Minister of Agriculture Ghana has ever had. But that is by the way. You see, these are the gruesome difficulties that the country is going through. I mean, I've seen videos of rural schools. And if you see videos of rural schools, what children in the rural areas are made to go through in order to acquire knowledge and skills, you can see that we have a huge challenge. Today, as we speak, Ghana is the largest producer of gold in Africa. The largest producer of gold in Africa. Today, as we speak in this studio, Ghana is the 5th largest producer of gold in the whole world. As we speak in this studio now, Ghana is the 2nd largest producer of cocoa in the whole world. Look at the mineral wealth of Ghana. Bauxite, iron ore, gold, diamond, oil, gas, name them. And despite all of this wealth, our president cannot travel from Flagstaff House to Mamobi without borrowing. If we put petrol in his car to move from Flagstaff House to Mamobi, we have to borrow. These are the dire consequences. So what the people of Ghana are looking for is a team which would rescue this country from the doldrums. What the people of Ghana are looking for, including members of the New Patriotic Party, including sympathizers of the New Patriotic Party, what they're looking for is a team, a vision, and an action plan which would deliver us from this abyss of desperation, this abyss of want, this abyss of crippling poverty, and so on. That is what the discussion should be about. This is the context within which we ought to have this discussion. Now, there's been a lot of talk about the introduction of his ministers and so on at the Menchia Palace. I think it's important to note that this is not the first time it has happened. Every region the president has been to, he has been at pains to demonstrate that a number of persons from that region are playing key roles in his administration. That's what he's doing. You remember when he went to the Bono region, he actually spent a lot of time introducing, is it Dr. or Professor Ajima Menu, who at that time was in crisis and so on. As his minister, he said, this is your own son. He is part of my government. You understand? So the president actually believes that if he goes around the country showing people that they are somehow represented in his government simply because of their ethnicity or their regional background or the language they speak and so on, he will be able to garner support. That's all he's doing. So if you look at the introductions that he did in the Menchia Palace, he was telling the people of Ashanti. Indeed, it was not directed at the Asante. It was directed at the people of Ashanti. It was directed at a region which is said to be the World Bank of the New Patriotic Party. And what he was doing was telling them that, look, people who come from your region are playing key roles in my government. Here they are. As a matter of fact, I doubt whether what the Ghanaian people are looking for is their ethnic mates and so on participating in government. What the Ghanaian people are looking for is concrete projects and programs which will deliver them from excruciating poverty. So 10 ministers come from Ashanti, and so what? 20 ministers come from Volta region, and so what? 15 ministers come from the northern region, and so what? What has been done in Ashanti in order to uplift the standard of living of the people of Ashanti? That is the question. You understand? And you remember that in the Menchir Palace, the president actually told the Ashanti that, oh, this is your own son. In fact, this guy's father used to be the Ashantinist linguist, and so what? So what? You understand? So that appears to be the strategy of the president. And if that is the strategy of the president, that strategy actually accentuates ethnicity, regionalism, and so on. It's a bad strategy for national cohesion and national unity. Look, under some previous administrations, like under the Nkrumah government, it didn't matter where you came from. In fact, people became members of parliament of constituencies that they didn't hail from, that they were not resident in. Under Champo, regional ministers were appointed who didn't come from the regions. The regions they served were not the regions of origin and so on. And all of this effort went into integrating us as one people belonging to one great nation, focused on delivering, on projects and so on, aimed at taking us out of poverty and so on. This style contrasts with the style of Achampo. It contrasts with the style of the Osagyefo and so on. This is a style which emphasizes ethnicity. This is a style which says that, look, you have Ashantis in my government and therefore vote for me. That's a terrible style. That's not a style which is focused on development and so on. And I'm very, very wheezy about that kind of approach to national politics. You understand? Now, there are some who have said that what he did in Kumasi amounted to an endorsement of Mr. ALHAJI Martin. I disagree. There's no endorsement in what he did. This claim that Mr. ALHAJI Martin is a hard-working man and so on, I don't think that it had been rehearsed. I don't think that it had been properly thought through. I don't think that it was designed to endorse Mr. ALHAJI Martin. This is an off-the-cuff comment. You understand? And in a situation like this one, where there's extreme polarization and competition, these comments tend to gain a certain level of currency. And that is what these comments are gaining in any way. But in Kumasi, the president made a very, very significant commitment. A commitment we cannot ignore. And a commitment he must be made to keep. That commitment was that he will not endorse any of the persons aspiring to replace him as flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party. That's a serious commitment. Simply put, he would not support Alhaji Mahmood Dr. Bawumia's candidature. That leaves Alhaji Bawumia on his own. Today, as we speak, Alhaji Bawumia is on his own. He has to go into the field and struggle like any other person to become flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party. Now, the reasons given by the president for not endorsing any of the candidates is most instructive. The president says that if he endorses any of the candidates, it will split the party. It will split the party to the extent that the party will not be able to win the 2024 elections. What does that tell you? That tells you about the level of polarization within the New Patriotic Party. That tells you clearly that nobody has commanding influence within the party. Because, listen, if Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia could secure 98% of the votes in the party, how would the party split to the extent of losing elections in 2024 if it's endorsed? The reality is that he has no commanding control in that party. The reality is that Arantxa Martin is a formidable candidate in the New Patriotic Party. Indeed, when Arantxa Martin contested Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, he gave him a tough time. And if it had not been for the wisdom of the elders and the attempt to secure some internal cohesion and so on, perhaps the New Patriotic Party could have ended up in a second round. You understand? But the party quickly rallied around Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and he won the elections and so on. So, for me, this statement by the president sends the sitting vice president limping all the way to the contest. He's limping. He's on his own. Now, if he's on his own, what does that mean? He's on his own. What does that mean? You know, I honestly pity the sitting vice president. And if I was in his corner or my advice was sought, I would give it freely. And my advice would be that it is time for him to pipe down. Because he's entering a terrain where there will be no comfort for him. Where you have to battle like anybody else. And you have to battle with very limited ammunition. Because there's no track record in the New Patriotic Party. As a matter of fact, he's an unknown quantity in the New Patriotic Party. The first time ALHAJI Mahmoud Bawumia was linked with the New Patriotic Party was just before or around 2012. Indeed, one of the presidential aspirants, Odike, only last week or so, claimed that at the time he was nominated as vice presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party, he didn't have a membership card. So this is a complete stranger to the New Patriotic Party. I've had the privilege of working with many leaders of the New Patriotic Party, and indeed I've had the privilege of working from within the New Patriotic Party. Everybody knows that I was very close to Professor Edu Buahini and so on. Everybody knows the kind of relationship that I had with BJ Darocha and so on. You understand? And I had never, under any circumstance, heard about ALHAJI Bawumia as having anything to do with the New Patriotic Party. So he has no base in the party. No base at all in the party. No influence in the party. And as a matter of fact, did not participate in the harrowing struggles that people like Kwame Pianim and others went through to build that party. In 1992, one of the major challenges of the party was how to raise resources to start building the party block by block. He was not there. He couldn't have been there. He didn't play any role. Indeed, it took people like Kwame Pianim and so on to go and find the resources to rent a place, not buy, to, I think, bought eventually, a place in Kokomemble for the party headquarters. He was not there. After Nana Akufo-Addo and others wrote the stolen verdict, and the party boycotted parliamentary elections and so on, boycotted parliamentary elections, and was struggling to create a niche for itself in the political space, Bawumia was not there, couldn't have been there. In fact, in the heady days of struggle for electoral reforms and so on, he was comfortably perched in the Bank of Ghana as deputy governor. He was so comfortably perched in the Bank of Ghana as deputy governor, justifying the monetary policies of the National Democratic Congress. So, where is his base in the party? If you take his family history, it is even worse. If you take his family history, it is even worse. His father, in the initial stages, had links with the opposition to Nkrumah. He then crossed carpet and became one of the most ardent supporters of Nkrumah, to the displeasure, the discomfort of the United Party and so on. His father was one of the most hated figures by the UP elements and so on. It didn't end there. He became a stalwart of the National Democratic Congress. He did not just become a stalwart of the National Democratic Congress. His wife, who happens to be Bawumia's mother, also was a leading women's leader. Leading women's leader, and I'm choosing my words deliberately and carefully, of the National Democratic Congress. So his roots in the party are tenuous at best. Okay? So therefore, what does he have to hang on? What he has to hang on is the commitment of the sitting president to his cause. It is the machinery that the sitting president has built within the party and so on. Now the sitting president says, my brother, you're on your own. That's a devastating blow to the jaw. In any boxing match, it will send you to the floor. This kind of blow to the jaw will send any experienced boxer to the floor. And that's the kind of blow which has been delivered. Now, this context for the flag bearership of the New Patriotic Party is becoming interesting. Not just interesting, also dangerous for the New Patriotic Party. Now, why do I say that? We heard about the first announcement made by Honorable Afriye Akoto of his interest in becoming the flag bearer of the party. He later denied it, but now he has confirmed it. You understand? Now, in the first report we heard, what did he say? That it is important for an Ashanti to become the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party because Ashanti has been neglected. Ally? Ally?
No, the first statement.
Yeah. And that is the base of the party. And we have Bafo Akoto's son, who wants to become flag bearer of the party on the basis of his history as Bafo Akoto's son, on the basis of his ethnic allegiance and so on, saying that Ashanti has been neglected. And that it is time for Ashantis now to vote for an Ashanti as flag bearer of the party so that he can remedy the wrongs of the past. What a damaging blow. My brother, what a damaging blow. What a damaging blow. So, now that he has confirmed his interest in becoming the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, is he still coming to the table as Bafo Akoto's son? Is he still coming to the table as the Ashanti who is coming to rescue Ashanti from the doldrums? And if that is the case, what does that say about the current administration in which he is Agric Minister? I don't know what to make of it. It is up to the New Patriotic Party to decide. It is up to the New Patriotic Party to decide whether or not it is going to accept people coming as its leader who are coming on the basis of their ethnicity. And if it's going to accept people coming to become the party's leader on the basis of their ethnicity, then the party is in trouble. Look, it is clear from all the election results of the past that for the New Patriotic Party to win elections in Ghana, it has to win the Western and Central regions, which are swing regions. Now, if there's an Ashanti ticket, a clear Ashanti ticket, if somebody portrays himself as an Ashanti hero, an Ashanti redeemer and so on, what would it do to these two swing regions? There are other swing regions. Of course, Greater Accra is a swing region and so on. But these two swing regions are important. You understand? So what would that do? Then, Mr. President also makes this statement about Alan Martin, which has gone far. Everybody is reading into it, all kinds of. I don't read much into it. But people are reading into it. And he says, look, Alan Martin has been eyeing his seat for a very, very long time. That's an important statement. The president may not have meant it, but it will have repercussions in a party like the New Patriotic Party. Because I recall that one of the reasons why Professor Dubois became flag bearer of the party is that the party believed that he has struggled over a long period of time and it was time to reward him. I'm sure you all remember. When Professor Dubois was no longer the flag bearer of the party, President Kufuor was selected because of his long history in the party and loyal service to the party. And people made references to the fact that at the tender age of below 30, he was deputy minister in the Busia administration. It was significant. You understand? President Nana Akufo-Addo himself, one of the reasons why he became flag bearer, if you remember that slogan, Yenimono Fititi. Titi. It was an important part of the campaign to make him flag bearer of the party. Now, he has confirmed that Alan Martin is also from Titi. You understand? That slogan about knowing him from Titi also applies to Alan Martin. Wow, that's a kick in the groin of ALHAJI Bawumia. It's a kick in the groin of ALHAJI Bawumia. He may not have meant it. The president may have been innocent. That's not the message he intended to convey. But at the end of it, now Alan Martin can also, his supporters can also comfortably say that Yenimono Fititi. And that's a blow, heavy blow. You understand? Then he goes on to talk about how Alan Martin is such a hard-working man. He's so hard-working. My brother, you know, the exertion, of course, those of you who did physics, I mean, I'm not a very good science student, but those of you who did physics know that the exertion of energy does not necessarily lead to good outcomes. You know that. You can be very energetic, you can exert a lot of energy, you can have a drive, you can work 24 hours a day, you can forfeit your sleeps and so on. It may not necessarily lead to good outcomes. But you see, the New Patriotic Party has said that the time for declaring interest in the presidency, the flag bearership and so on, has not come. And that anybody who declares any such interest will be punished. And I've heard the chairman of the party, Mr. Freddie Bray, make that statement very, very strongly. And I've heard John Boadu, General Secretary, make that statement very, very strongly. But it is clear that nobody bothers with the statements that they are making. Nobody. Because the posters are out. We see the posters every day. In fact, the only person who is being exceedingly cautious about declaring his intention appears to be Adainimo. And Adainimo must have good reason for being very, very cautious. Because as for him, if he violates those rules and regulations and so on, he knows what will happen to him. Right? Master, Adainimo has been a key part of the New Patriotic Party. Indeed, his performance when he last contested the presidential elections, the presidential candidature elections, was shocking for everybody. You remember? Because nobody knew him. All of a sudden he came from behind, bam, he was there. He was like, how did he get these votes and so on? In spite of his commitment to the party, since they won elections in 2016, have you heard his name anywhere? He's not part of the team. He's been relegated to some backyard and so on. So I am sure that Adainimo knows that he's not a favorite of those who are in power today. And Adainimo knows clearly well that if he takes the wrong step, whoa, what will happen to him? Tsunami will be milder. So he's taking his time. He's bidding his watching the scene, watching his steps, and so on. You understand? I can understand that. But Joe Gatti has publicly declared, the former Minister for Railways publicly declared that he's going in for the contest. Now what? Joe Gatti is also going into the contest. One, because he claims that he has many friends, he has a history with the Volta region, he's a national figure and so on. He claims all these things. But in addition to all these things, he also says that the Western region has been neglected. So he's coming also, quite apart from being a national figure and so on, quite apart from his links to the Volta region and so on, he's coming as a redeemer of the Western region. Is that not a problem? That's a huge problem. Yesterday, I saw some posters promoting ALHAJI Martin. Yes, and I'm sure some of you have seen some of those posters. It says the honest economist. What is that meant to be? So there are some dishonest economists. And if there are some dishonest economists, who are these dishonest economists? You've seen those posters? Oh, I have. I can show them to you. Those posters are instructive. The things on those posters speak volumes. The honest economist. Hey, honest economist. So some economists are dishonest. And who are those dishonest economists and so on? Master, we live to see. We of course also do know that my own very good friend from the days of struggle, Kofi Kunedu-Apreku, is jumping into the race. I knew Kofi Kunedu-Apreku, I think from 1991, when I went to the United States, Texas, to mobilize the Ghanaians there in struggle for return to democracy and so on. And he was thick in the affairs. We met in the house of Charles Bainey in Texas, Dallas, Texas, and he was there. He never relented. He abandoned his lucrative jobs and so on, and came back to become a personal assistant to Professor Dubois. And I know the contributions that he made. He is jumping into the race. Whether he will succeed or not is not for me to say. I don't know. How can I know? I will never know. In this murky business, you never know. I don't even know the size of his pocket. And in this context, the size of your pocket is an important part of the game. In any case, he's contested before. You understand? And we know the result and so on. What can we do but to wish him well? Okay? And there are many others. There is Boache Jaku, who also happens to be a very good friend of mine. Very, very good friend of mine. I remember when I went to the United States to mobilize Ghanaians, to join the struggle and so on. We went to his house in New Jersey. New Jersey, it was in New Jersey. It was not in New York, it was in New Jersey. And my brother, when I entered this man's house, I asked myself, but later I asked myself, how can this man have any ambitions to be president of Ghana? How can he? Yes, I was amazed at the comfort in which he lived. I mean, to enter his house, the security you have to go through and so on. He was then, I think, vice president of a bank and so on. He has also come. He served as energy minister. He has thrown his hat into the ring. He wants to contest. That will be interesting. Exceedingly interesting. You understand? Now, it is going to be exceedingly interesting because he served as energy minister and he left office in some unexplained controversy. Would we get an explanation for how he left office? If he steps into the ring? And if you don't get an explanation for how he left office, because there have been different stories about how he left office, and his supporters have called on the president to disclose the full facts, or they will disclose the facts. When the facts are disclosed, what are we likely to see? Are we likely to see an angelic Boakye Jaku, or we are likely to see a stained Boakye Jaku? Those questions cannot be answered now. But if he truly enters the race, he will get to the bottom of those matters. There have been controversies about their marriage deal and so on. And he claims to be innocent. And I want to believe him. Boakye Jaku has always been a decent man. I want to believe him. You understand? But my belief is not sufficient. My belief in him is not sufficient. Why? There are 30.2 million Ghanaians who have to believe in him, not one person. How is he going to make that belief in him manifest in 30.2 million minds? And so on. Or at least within the New Patriotic Party. That is his challenge. You understand? That is his challenge. My brother, if we are to sit here and analyze all those who appear to be interested in the presidential candidature of the New Patriotic Party, perhaps we have to extend the program. You know, it's a multitude. It's a multitude. So, I'm not going to continue this analysis. What I'm going to say is simply that all those who want to be flag bearers, not just of the New Patriotic Party, of the CPP, of the PNC, of the NDC, and of the co-mininis, they should understand that becoming a president is not just about sitting in a 55-car convoy. That is not it. Becoming a president is not about taking salute from the Ghana Armed Forces. That is not it. Becoming a president in Ghana today is a major challenge. And they should measure themselves. You understand? They should weigh themselves. They should weigh themselves properly. They want to be president of a country in which we are spending 128% of total national revenue on two line items, debt servicing and public sector remuneration. That's the presidency they are coming into. They want to be president at a time that ordinary people in Ghana are losing confidence in the political establishment. They want to become president at a time when people are saying these politicians, they are all the same. They want to be president at a time when we have lost control of our natural resources. And our natural resources are not being exploited for the benefit of our people. They want to become presidents at a time when environmental pollution is at its peak. They want to become president when the capital city is full of filth. Small rain, people are drowning. That's the country they want to come and lead. They want to come and lead a country in which none of the constitutional institutions, none of the state institutions and so on, enjoys the full confidence of the Ghanaian people. Go and check the Afrobarometer report. Confidence in our institutions has waned and waned so drastically. This is the country in which they want to become president. I wish them well. Finish.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Goes we are here, what he says, but me, I will say true, I believe. If Mr. Pratt was a boxing commentator, one thing you expect is that Baumia will come out very badly battered. You would have to pull off a Muhammad Ali to win the fight. Thank you. We'll be back with a discussion on the Ghana Law School entrance and the issues arising. We'll be back shortly. Stick and stay with us.
Fellow Ghanaians, the nation's founder, Sergeant Kwame Nkrumah. May God bless him, Ghana showboy, Africa's great song, Sergeant.
Hello, what are you doing Tuesday to Friday, 7:30 to 9 o'clock p.m. every day. You should be watching The Couch. I'll tell you why. On Tuesdays, we talk social issues, lifestyle, health, all those everyday issues that affect us in the big ways. Late Wednesdays are for book reviews. Thursdays are for the hard talk, those socio-economic, policy-oriented, political questions that demand for the tough questions to be asked. And personality profiling Fridays, when we get to know the stories behind the winning personalities we love. Inspirational story from inspirational personalities. Hey, listen, you really cannot miss The Couch with me, Amma Pratt. Still, the only TV show with a heart.
Dr. Kuma.
Well, thank you very much for sticking and staying with us. Let me say a big thank you to Bedmate Furniture Limited. This beautiful couch you see here was from them. So let's say a big thank you to them. They are located at the Chimonta at ABC Junction, at Chimonta ABC Junction. Now, if you want something like this, just give them a call, 0206 40 999, 0206 40 999, and I think your number might be short by one, but try this one, 0247 427777, 0247 427777. They don't only have this. They have different types of this. They have a bedroom set. They have kitchen sets and office cabins. So you can get all of that at Bedmate Furniture Limited. A big thank you to them.
And I was amazed at the quality and the beauty of their products. You know.
You can take Mr. Pratt's word for it.
Yeah, and at least they're helping ALHAJI and ALHAJI.
Yes.
You know.
Now we have to call it.
Now we have this free of charge.
Thank you. I have Mr. Kwesi still seated in the studio. ALHAJI Nusa Husseini, Dr. Adumako Kisi, and Margot joining us today. It's easier to call her by that name anyway. Let me do a couple of your messages. And before we move on to the discussion on the law school entrance exams, you've sent us some text messages. This one says, Sena, MPP should focus on how to fix the country. Stop the debate who is to lead them for 2024 presidential election. It's too early for them. Stop the noise and fix the country for the ordinary Ghanaian. We're even fed up with MPP Nana-led administration. They should forget about winning power come 2024. What do they take us for? Sena, how things are going on in this country is only God that can save us. Issa sent that from Big Ada through our text message line. And then this one says, God bless you. I'm watching you on TV from Secondary at Diembra. Okay, I hear you. That's okay. So I'll draw her attention. Some more. This one says, if truly a group of arrogant Ghanaians brag in construing that the incumbent elected Ghanaian president appointees in the incumbent EC of Ghana do not need experienced member of the executive, there's someone who's calling the line. But Mujib has been sending a couple of messages. Yes, I've seen it. He said, good morning. Enjoying your discussion, I can assure you, Alan will lead the MPP into 2024. So he goes ahead to list factories and jobs created under one district, one factory. So our good friend Mujib has taken a stand. Yeah, it's quite a long list that he sent to me. Mujib, this one you need to buy. Alan Chairman. Well, yes. Well, a few more of the messages you are sending to us. Okay, so I was reading that one. Please, I'll be very glad if you can stop calling the line. If you want me to maybe put your contribution or just send it by text message or send a WhatsApp message to the number that you see. Don't call it. This one is good morning, Alhaji and Alhaji. The fact is what that Bawumia cannot win the flag bearership race of the MPP. He should forget it. In fact, shouldn't contest Kra. With regards to Kwesi Pratt, he's too much. From Gakpe Segbefia, Justice at Yeji. Let me read a few of your WhatsApp messages you're sending to us. This one says, good morning, Sena. President Nana is not presidential. That's why he doesn't know what to say at what time and when to say it. What he did was a mockery of Alan. Instead of working to solve hardship we are suffering under him, he is cozying around the world. He has become the coziest president in the world. Charles Cardinal from Pokwasi sent that. Olanyo Inakwetia says, if our African continent leaders will be cautious. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. This one says, Sena, do us a favor. There's no point discussing. Okay. As this will, he said that this will not bring anything useful or meaningful to improve the crisis Ghana is in today. It is this party that brought our motherland to its knees. Nobody from that party can bring anything better. Akufo-Addo can commission them all as he likes, as there's nothing more for him to commission. SNM sent that one. Some more. Okay. Well, let's move on to the discussion on the entrance exam at the Ghana School of Law, and I'll start with ALHAJI this time around.
Indeed, October, so 780 lawyers were called to the bar. This group of lawyers were part of those who took part 2 years ago in the entrance examination, in which only 20% of them passed. But the issue of law school examination, entrance examination, bedeviling prospective law students has been with us for close to 4 years. And we've had reason to believe that by the natural evolution of time and the growth in our population, there is the need for us to expand facilities to be able to deal with this number. Because law school itself was established with just about 4 or 2 classrooms in the hall, in the offices. I mean, at that time that it was established, you had only one university, the University of Ghana, offering the law course. And at the University of Ghana, their maximum intake for law was 60. Maximum. 20 to read LLB and 20 to combine BA law. At times, you would not even get the 60. And so now you have many other universities. Many other. Almost all public universities are offering law except the UDS and other allied universities in the north. GIMPA, UPSA, Legon itself, Concord University of Science and Technology, produce it. Private universities, Zenith, Valley View, Mount Crest, just name them. University. And so the number of people who want to get into the professional law course at the law school and be called to the bar far outweigh the number of seats available to at the law school. And that calls for drastic actions to be taken to mitigate the hardship that we put these people through. And as ranking member of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee between the 2006 2016 and 2020, we were at pains to get the General Legal Counsel understand that anything that is done at a school of law is a teachable subject. And being a teachable subject, what they could do was to convert themselves into a regulatory institution. So you set the standard. Okay, what is the standard that you require students to be proficient in before they can be called to the bar? You set the in the standard. You will have the curriculum, you will have the subject area, you have qualification of teachers, you have facilities like library and academic staff and non-academic staff, ambience, which environment is it conducive, which environment is conducive for the training of teachers, so that because you become a regulatory body, you inspect those places before teaching and learning can take place. Then at the end of the prescribed course, you set a general exam. And so those who go to write the general examination, if they pass, you then set up pupillage for them to do the 6 months pupillage and be called to the bar. Simple. And I've said that the ICA or the ACCA, they are professional courses. They deal with human beings, they solve human problems. But you don't get only one institution offering ICA. Anybody who wants to be a chartered accountant enrolls in a school or a university or an evening class somewhere, and then you start preparing for the examination. Just like the common entrance that we used to write, not so. All over the country, all over West Africa. The people who want to sit common entrance then knew that you had to prepare in certain subject areas, quantitative analysis, or what do you used to call them, and so you prepare, and when the time comes, everybody everywhere within West Africa will go and write the exam, and the examination is marked, and those who qualify move on to secondary schools. So we can do that. Now, but because the Ghana School of Law is not yet prepared to do that, what they have done through discussions with them when we were in Parliament is to open satellite campuses at the University of Science and Technology and Jimpa. But that doesn't solve the problem, does it? Because this year, more than 2,000 students have not gotten admission into either Makola, Jimpa, or Koyokoro University of Science and Technology campus. Why? Because the students wrote an entrance examination, and in the entrance examination, when the results were marked, and when the papers were marked and the results released, they said only 780 students passed. Now, when they were compelled to release the raw scores, somehow the Ghana School of Law and the General Legal Counsel aggregated the raw scores. So we found that the first person the highest mark for those who wrote the exam was 84. So he got 84%. And the lowest was, I think, 12 or so. Between 12 and some recorded zeros. But they scored in some papers and then they got 12. Now, but close to 400 or so students got 50. 50%. 499 got 50. Now, so the issue is, did they pass or did they not pass the examination? You can look at it from two sides. If they were taking raw scores and an aggregated score, then one can argue that they passed the exam. But I know professional courses, before you get admitted to read a professional course, you must pass in all subject areas. For instance, if they give you 2 questions, you must get 50%. And 50% means that you must get half, 50% in the first paper question and get 50% in the second question, and the aggregate is 50%. You see, so that's how 50% is eligible to be admitted into a professional course. And even non-professional courses at the Faculty of Law. I told you that the Faculty of Law then trained only 60 students, 40 LLB, 20 BA. And if you fail, that is, if you recorded a D, an E, or an F in any of the law subjects, no matter your performance in the other subjects within the law, you will not get selected to read. And no matter your GPA, no matter your GPA could be higher than somebody who was selected to read law, because you were combining, you were doing 3 subjects, and so you did law, political science, sociology, law, political science, French, or something, and your GPA higher. But then, because you failed in the law subject, you will not be admitted to read the law. Now, what does this tell us? It tells us that there is some opaqueness in the way the Ghana Law School runs the exam. This man is talking on top of his voice. It's almost hoarse. Asasari. It says those who are administering the examination at the law school know nothing about legal education. Just because of the openness. There's no transparency. Nobody knows the market scheme. What is the criteria? Do the lecturers at the various universities and the General Legal Council communicate? Because I've always said, you see, for that line, and I was privileged to do some little course in marketing or MBA. Product line, if you want quality assurance, you don't wait until the product is done, and then you start looking at it to see whether you have the quality that you desire. You must go to the beginning of the process and ensure that it maintains the quality. You have the quality that you want, and that quality must run through all the product line. Then you can be sure that the final product will meet your quality expectations. But here, you are not able to tell whether the schools, the universities, those teaching the first degree in law, do they have the adequate manpower? Do they have the books? Do they have facilities like libraries, classrooms? Are they teaching them the courses that are really needed to become lawyers? I remember when we were at Legon, while about 6 of us got second class upper in Legon, at that time, University of Science and Technology, they were not going straight to Makola. They were not going straight to Makola. More than 30 of University of Science and Technology people got second class upper. Who were just about 6 or so. More than 30. So were they complicated? Is there a standard? I believe that it is about time that we started looking at standards. So that you should be confident. I still do not understand why a student will record a 0 in an examination. I still cannot understand. I mean, unless they're doing the type of learning you pick and choose and what punch. We used to call it punching. No, because if you have gone through a course of study in law, in fact, law is actually critical thinking. If you are able to go through a study in law, you should be able to answer a question, even not satisfactorily, but at least for you to get some marks. But to record 0 in an examination, is it a manifestation of the level of teaching or the kind of teaching that takes place in the universities? I don't know. But all I know is that we need more lawyers in this country. All the district assemblies need lawyers. Parliament, we need draftsmen. Ministries, we need lawyers. government departments, we need lawyers. We don't have it now. We can train lawyers and train them to perform some functions. We need people to specialize in some aspects of the law so that we can also have experts in certain categories of the law, not general practitioners like we are. We can only have that if we create competition. Then people are no longer satisfied with just being called lawyers. They want to distinguish themselves. They want to be outstanding. We need to have people, experts. You understand? Energy law. For somebody to just, to know exactly. We are producing oil. I mean, we don't know.
Bankruptcy lawyers.
You see, so that is why we need more lawyers. That's why we should open up. And like I said on Thursday, whereas we are blaming the General Legal Council and we are holding them responsible for the lapses in training, that is given to lawyers at the faculties and other places, and the fact that they have not expanded enough opportunity for people to come in, we should also hold the students to some kind of measure, accountability. You are a student, you want to read law. It requires commitment, it requires hard work. It requires that you put your buttocks on a chair and open the book before you. There is no easy way out. You have to sit down to study. And because you want to read the law, you must have the passion to read it, understand it, and be confident that when you sit in the exam, you will pass. Law is like a wife, a woman. It's a jealous profession. It doesn't admit of partners. You must be prepared to do law and not combine law with any other thing. I hear people doing law part-time. How can you do law part-time? It's difficult. It's difficult. It's really difficult. And so that's what I have to say. But the General Legal Council should make their processes transparent. People will be prepared to go along with them if the processes are transparent. The students understand what is required of them. The lecturers understand what is required of them. The general public understand exactly the processes that have been put in place for people who want to read law, because it's also expensive. You will spend a lot of money to get the first degree and you can continue.
Thank you, ALHAJI. Let me read this message from Dennis Yakwete, who says, I had graduated from UPSA last year with LLB, but decided not to sit for the Makola entrance exams that year, and also this year for good reasons, including the gambling that the said examination has become, as Professor Kokwa Asari rightly put it. But you see, even though the GLC passed about 1,045 students last year, as against 128 the previous year, because the issue took a political turn prior to the last election in December 2020, and with about 700 or more students passing this year, if things remain the way it is in the law school, I can assure you that many of those students admitted may take a very, very long time to come out of the law school. Mark my words, something is certainly wrong with us. Shalom. That's coming from Dennis Yao Akwete. And this one is on Tafina Maria. Says whoever they choose to lead MPP 2024 will lose to former President Mahama. Thank you. Prince Harry in Kofoidwa says those advocates. Okay, a lot of you want to teach you. Let me do a few more messages. Musa Batwa says Sena Kwesi Pratt has given us scientific arguments as to how MPP internal contest will become, but I'm 100% convinced that 2024 elections is going to be a done deal for JM. Just one or two from our WhatsApp line. Abu Spain in Medina says, good morning. We all saw this coming. Our brother Baumia himself saw it. He pretends like it to be okay. They made Baumia damage his brother with lies and propaganda. Now they said he doesn't have foundation in MPP. Now how did he get room to be vice? Foundation indeed. My advice to my northern brother Baumia is to back off. To save his money he got and leave the wolves to play their games. We have seen the betrayal of our late father Ali Mahama. No, it is you, Digital Baumia. Oh, Allah save our brother from the market of had I known and betrayal. Abu sent that from Spain. Okay, actually Abu Spain in Medina. And that is his name. One more. This one says, my mentor, Mr. Kwesi Pratt, leave Baumia alone to disgrace himself to the fullest level. And then Nkono from La Paz says, we know whom they are. So any other person from that party, MPP, will be the same. This one says, may I know if there could be a legal proceeding to achieve admission if one passes the entrance exams to the Ghana Law School and he is declined? Very interesting question. Well, look.
Yeah. The issue about law school admission begs some question. I'm very grateful for Honorable Inusa's contribution today. I'll come at it from a different angle, and what I want to add, because I've heard some of the arguments that some had very good grades than others who were admitted. Personally, I must say that performance after school has very little to do necessarily with your grades, and I say this because there are very sharp medical doctors who perform woefully with their interaction with patients. And what I mean by that is that they were very good scientifically, but their interaction with human beings is a huge challenge. And as such, they then move on to do maybe pathology, where they work on, excuse me to say, dead bodies, where they don't have to necessarily engage, or they end up in the laboratory doing hard research. So I only want to bring to bear that in the decision making for admission, we can't hang it solely on only good grades. There's a tenacity, the endurance bit that makes some very good lawyers or some very bad lawyers. So I'll only, as it is, tell people that the making of great lawyers or great clinicians or great architects are not necessarily by, let me cite one example. I was reading on Einstein, and he happened to be last in his, school that he was going. And what it means by that is that there were sharper minds than Einstein. Yet the breakthrough he brought to the world was formidable. I would also cite the likes of even Steve Jobs. Apple, Steve Jobs. I mean, he went to a very talented school, and granted, he was not the top of his class there. Look at what he's contributed to us. I can cite many people. So I'm only bringing that from sitting on a board trying to admit people to law school or any institution in this country. Sometimes they even look at the challenges that the individual has gone through in life and how they've endured and how they can endure the challenges of law school. And let me just add that some of the finest lawyers in the world have not necessarily been, quote unquote, the most bright in their year group. So the argument of somebody got 60, somebody got 50 and has been taken, I beg to differ on that. Now, I also like the other thing that we for a population of 30 million people, we don't have enough lawyers, and it's about time we really look at that. I think that would be a huge solution if we ramp up in terms of the admissions, if we ramp up in terms of people who come back to support the faculty. That would help us as a nation. And I'll use this avenue to plead with lawyers on the New York bar, British, any of these bars who have done enough in Obi Manso to consider a return home, because they have the wealth of knowledge and experience to come and expand the faculties we have in this country, so that I can tell you that if we even get 4 very powerful lawyers from outside, by their return to Ghana, we can then even have many more students. So I'll use this as an avenue. This is not a governmental problem per se. This is not just a law faculty problem per se, but all of us as a nation, we need to see how best we can solve this problem. Because 30 billion, and with the number of disputes, the delays in courthouses, the delays in getting your case prosecuted or executed, is becoming not good for business. And this is one of the indicators of how well your country is doing in terms of your your legal professions to the number of people in the country, and we're not doing well as a nation. And I speak as a professional, and I think that we ought to critically look at it as a developmental problem. And I cited one key thing. We've discovered oil. Just go to Nigeria. The number of lawyers with experience in oil legal issues are far more than we have in our country. Granted, it's because they discovered much earlier. But it is one of the places where we're losing, because we're not having very skilled people in managing assets like oil discovery. And need I even add, even the gold we've had for so many years, how many legal practitioners are experts in mining? Not as much. We haven't afforded ourselves the opportunity. And there's one problem with our academics in this country, which I need to cite here. We have you go through nursing school, you want to top up, and there are challenges. Why should it be the case? I mean, we have 28-year-olds who are professors in other countries, professors of law at 28. You can imagine the articles they will write, the number of lives they can impact. Our education system does not breed or afford us room for expansion. We rather grade you so hard that, I don't know, I always used to say that, Charlie, our Ghanaian teachers there, when they grade you down is when they are happier. You know, in the sense that, Charlie, to get an A, to cross 70, I mean, when I was in medical school, master, to cross even 50 was not a joke. 50. You can see people who get 51 and Charlie, you are clapping simply because of either how the grading system is done, and and it becomes even a problem for you when you are quote unquote going international, because Charlie, they grade us so low that when you are trying to get into Hopkins or big institutions and they look at your grades, though you have the acumen, when they look at your Ghanaian grades, they worry. Only for you to get there, and when you are performing, you are, an A student. So I think our education system needs some reforms, and not all of us can be lawyers, not all of us can be doctors. There are many more avenues in accounting, and I really think that some of us have made sacrifices. We've come back. Many more should, and it takes a certain nature to say that, Charlie, I've enjoyed America, I've enjoyed Europe. Let me also come and contribute to my nation. My old man is one of the first generations of medical doctors in this country, and when he shares his stories, and also I'm grateful that he returned from England, and I just need to add that just through him he's touched lives, including even my life, and I have also returned because of that legacy, and I really think that many more people, this one I'm speaking to professionals out there, to come to the mercy of our country. I'm your crown, we trained you up to A-level and things, and I think that they need to be, let me just, if I was president, I would heavily to bring many lawyers down so that we can expand, our faculties and have more legal minds in this country. But that is if I was president. That is what I can do in that capacity. But I also think that individual lawyers who are listening to $1 hour in court in the US, which is almost like somebody's whole year's salary in this country, and to skip that and come, it takes some kinds of sacrifice. But I think as a nation, if we're serious about our development, then as we're paying coaches from Europe, how much money are we paying coaches from Europe?
I think 45,000.
Several thousands of dollars to come and coach and teach us soccer. We should, as a country, if we're thinking about our development, we should afford to pay big time legal minds to come and expand our faculty. So the other alternative also, the rich and famous in the country can also support the legal minds to come down. I mean, when I say that the rich and famous, the likes of the despites and things, I mean, because in other faculties, multimillionaires support faculties with a lot of money. True or false, sir? Yeah, they can write checks of about $200 million to a legal faculty, and that is how they grow. So I feel the pain of those who did not make it, and like anything else, when it's very competitive, not the best people necessarily win, but by show of luck, by show of connections, by show of whatever means that people get into, even SS school systems is not as transparent as we all wish. How much more legal admission is, and I also pity those who have to do the selection. I don't think it was easy for them. I don't think so. I'll even veer off to police recruitment. 100 and almost 5,000 people, and they're going to take 5,000. You can imagine. 105,000 people have applied to get into police service. They'll take 5,000. That means over 100,000 people will be disenfranchised or disqualified. So you can imagine. Our population and our faculty, there's a mismatch. And that is at the crust of this problem. We need an expansion of the faculty, and we all have to look at that more so than necessarily only the and the nuances of it. Because Masa, 2,000 people, if you are taking 700, 30,000 people, if you are taking 500, no matter what, there will be injuries. There will be injuries, and it's painful. It is painful, and we have people going to do bars in other countries who have performed. I think there was one. Is it Namibia? Gambia. Yeah, which has been shown that there's a bus from Kotoka straight to Gambia for those who are failed. And I would wish maybe this is me talking for the opposition party. They can find a way of putting this in their manifesto, because that might help them. I'm just saying, or my own party. We need to see how we can put this in our next manifesto in terms of how we can correct this baggage of people who are very knowledgeable. In the US, you can do history, English, and get into law. Simply because the opportunities are there, the faculties are there. And it's people even don't even necessarily want to do law. But here's the case: we have well-equipped minds who can perform and help our legal, processes in this country, or legal profession, and yet they are bound by limitations handed down by failure to expand over the years. And this is not just one. Let me say government. This is an indictment in a way on all the other governments that have been, and I'm talking as a Ghanaian here, and I'm pleading that we find best ways to expand our faculty.
Okay, Doctor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Franz Chumes Yodum says the president went to Kumasi to campaign for his nominee to Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly. Nothing more, nothing less. But I will quote that Doctor says when the reckoning day comes, Bawumia will have himself to be blamed. When you ignore the hand that fed you, you end up being the most ignored. Bawumia is ignorant. He will never get the flag worship when it comes to the contest. New Folia takes a great show by all standards. Kofinya the Sena is the Ghanaian voters who make the politicians look the same. If they vote in a sensible manner, they will get sensible politicians. Margaret.
Thank you once again for the opportunity, and our lawyer Inusa has thrown more light on the issue, and our colleague from the other side too, from his professional angle, has appealed to those outside to come and help. I said, if I should take it from where my brother ended, do you know that people or Ghanaians who went outside the country, example like UK, to go and do the law and do the professional, and came back and want to go back to Mokola before, that they call it the post call, they are charged £6,000 for 6 months. Ghanaians, not foreign, they are not international students. They are charged £6,000 for doing the course in another country and coming here to go through the process and coming to work here. So I'm wondering how people will be encouraged to do this. We are here. They quote pounds and they will ask you to pay in CD equivalent. And now look at where the pounds is. Only Dr. Bawumia can determine. But Sena, what is the benchmark?
This is law.
Sena, what is the benchmark? We hear best practices. Lawyer, what is the benchmark? Which country are we benchmarking with their standards or what? Because in UK, you don't go to the professional school for 2 years, as we do in Mokola. UK, there are some that are even for 6 months or maximum 1 year. I don't know whether you need to be in the class for a number of years to become a good lawyer. So now, what is this entrance exam? Because I don't know it's being practiced or done anywhere. Entrance exam, which has become a clause which is killing the dreams of the Ghanaian citizen. The Ghanaian young able person who is interested in reading law to come and assist society, they have put a bar, entrance exam. Where are we copying it from? Because that is the cause of all this problem. Someone will do the LLB and get second class upper and will go and write this entrance exam and fail. And you see, the sad aspect is that at that level, they are not even specialized. Imagine there is a merchants and acquisition lawyer or a family law. Yeah, if you specialize and even you are not even gaining access to the professional side, you can get a company to employ you to assist them in those areas. When you go to the UK, they specialize. Now that they want to buy a new presidential jet, how many aviation lawyers do we have in this country? Or literally they'll go and give it to the family and friends law. So we need the total overhauling. In UK, when you write exam, it goes through 3 different lectures to mark. The marking schemes are given to students from day 1. So who is teaching us? Where are we copying from? And the way we've made ourselves so chinchini, yet we are not producing anything.
All these legal caps and things.
We are not doing anything. Meanwhile, ordinary Nigeria, just this Thursday, there is a bill in Parliament that the Senate is pushing for expanding the professional schools from 6 to 12. Because every year, over 5,500 students are produced from the 55 universities in Nigeria. There is a bill in Parliament just this Thursday in Nigeria that they are expanding it from 6 to 12. Why don't we allow the state-owned universities to do this? Is it that we don't have the lecturers? Let's motivate them enough, because I hear there is so much money in the court than the classroom. So if we are not getting more professors in law to teach our students, and I just don't get it. So now what is the rationale behind this? And I have the students, the Ghana Law School SLC, I heard their press statement this on my way here on one of your sister stations, and the gentleman spoke blah blah blah. You have to sign an undertaking that you will not ask for remark if you are not satisfied. And so that you see that the most surprising thing is that those who pass or who qualified, it is just a sheet of paper with our index numbers. Go to other jurisdiction, you key in your password, your how do you call it, ID or login, your score is there.
That's good.
Here in Ghana, you have to go to an office and somebody will enter a certain room and come back and tell you that you failed. What kind of a country is this?
Smoke screen.
What are we doing to ourselves? So the SLC president was like, politicians should not politicize it. Yes, I side with him. We have to look at it holistically because it's a national canker. But the point is that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama in 2020 promised the law students who were aggrieved and went to those that were beaten under this government, went to him and he promised them that he will he will expand it. We will sit down and judge, or as my brothers are asking for people to come, we will get them to come, sit down and get the best practice, because I don't know where we are practicing this. What we are doing in Ghana here, the concept we are doing, it is not done anywhere. Why do you keep somebody from at Bokola for 2 years when even Nigeria are doing it for 9 months? And go there and see. When you go to Nigeria to do law, say now one course like corporate law, you will have 3 lecturers in the classroom. 3 lecturers on one course, on one subject, and all the lecturers have a role to play. You will not go to a Nigerian law school and a lecturer will call you that he is not feeling well, so he will not come to class. You don't miss class. But in Ghana, ask the lawyers. The lecturers, some don't even come to class. Probably they are not motivated. But you see, the way we are behaving as if we go. I once witnessed a case at the Birmingham Magistrate Court. A judge, as soon as he sat down, he asked the 2 parties of their names. They mentioned their names. Then he asked, do you know me? Both said no. Said, okay, I am here to handle the case based on the merits of the case, but not sentiments. Sena, go to our courts. Unanimous, distinct view. You see, and yet they want to claim as if they are doing something special. What are they doing here? What are they doing? The law village that they went to cut sword for. President Kufuor cut sword. Only God knows. But you see, let's allow the state-owned universities. Like now, Gempa has it. We can, KNUST can do UPSA, UCC, University of Ghana. How do you call it? Development studies. The new ones that we added, the Sunyani. Because there are people who are willing and able to read law. So at the recent bar conference, the qualified lawyers who were there to vote were just around 1,200. Since God created Ghana, the lawyers that we have produced, both dead and alive, they are not more than 8,000. A lawyer to a citizen is around 1 to 7,000.
It's more than that.
You see, I'm even underestimating it. So how do we serve the citizens? And I always come in as how you help the ordinary citizens. Look at what is happening. Raping children, abusing women. Anyway, I'll be biased. Because I'll be feminist, I will talk for we the vulnerables, raping women and you don't. There are certain times that you take a case to a certain lawyer because of the lack of knowledge in it. The lawyer will just mess the case up. You see, they don't specialize. We need a total overhaul in Sena. What they are doing to our young men, they are just killing their dreams with this entrance exam. And Nimyabua, the Chief Justice, who is the leader of the General Legal Council, how come people did not have index numbers but they wrote exams? How come? We had a then Chief Justice who said she will not produce mass lawyers, as if it is at the comfort of her home. We want more doctors. We want more dentists. We want more this. But why? What is so special about lawyers that you cannot produce mass lawyers? What is it? Because you have opportunity to do law, you think none of us can do law? I just don't get it. And you're killing the dreams of these young men.
And women.
And women. You know, so please, as my earlier speakers have, you know, stated all the challenges and all, let's look at it very well and put in proper structure and measures, because what is happening is so appalling and we are not helping. So out of over the how do you call it, 790 students that passed, the 499 that, you know, they had 50 and they didn't pass. So look at the number that wrote the exam. The rest, what do? There are people who finished their LLB somewhere 7 years ago and they are still writing entrance exams. Why do we do this to ourselves? What kind of future are we creating for the ordinary citizen? When you have a case, where do you go to? Lawyers are so scarce and the president was asking them to pay taxes. I mean, let's look at how to build this country, Sena, for once. Let's get things done. If we are copying from other countries, let's look at the best practices, what they do. Here we don't even have, I don't know how they in UK, you have the Queen's Council. As you know, when you get there, it means that you have really performed, distinguished yourself, you know, you have made it to that level. In Nigeria, they have the SNA, SAN, you know. Like in Ghana, we don't have anything. We only keep people at Mokola, and if you want to check your results, somebody will enter a certain room and you failed. Lawyers. Sena, I will leave it here.
Thank you. Thank you. I think I can jump to Mr. Price straight.
You know, in 1976, I was a court reporter in Cape Coast.
Oh.
And I came across something which was most unusual. And for all of those who practiced law in Cape Coast, they remember this. I remember in a short who was then practicing law in Cape Coast with his father. And there was this Cape Coaster who was called, I think, Bose. And whose real name was Melfa. This guy was barefooted, and he would come to court wrapped in a traditional cloth, barefooted, carrying a bag. And I saw him in the courtroom being consulted by some of the most experienced lawyers. And sometimes you sit behind them in court and make references for them and so on. This is a barefooted local Cape Coaster. Okay? As a matter of fact, many prominent lawyers around the world never went to a law school. That's also a fact. Many prominent lawyers around the world just went through pupillage and became lawyers and so on. Indeed, until recently, you didn't have to take an entrance exam to enter the Ghana Law School. Until recently, all you needed to do was to go to the university, get your LLB or whatever, or BA, and then straight you go to the law school. No entrance examination. Indeed, they introduced even an interview after the entrance examination. And after some hassles, that interview itself was stopped. Now, why do we, the older people, do this to the younger generation? Many people like me, my age and older, when they went to the universities, they stayed one in a cubicle. They ate 3 square meals, not 3-course meals, 3-course meals. They were paid allowances. They lived like kings in the universities. Today, sometimes you have more than 10 students in a cubicle. The sanitary conditions in our universities are terrible. You understand? Today, if you are not rich or do not have people who can sponsor you and so on, university education is out of the question for you. Today, you go to the University of Ghana, how many of them eat in the dining halls that have been built there? They all eat under the trees, the bush canteens and so on. This is what we are doing to the younger generation. When I went to the Ghana Institute of Journalism, I was fed free of charge. When I went into the Ghana Institute of Journalism, if the bus did not come for me to school, they paid me money in order to cater for my transport. A year before I entered the Ghana Institute of Journalism, students were being paid allowances. And so, now we have taken over, and look at what we are doing to the younger generation. The only reason why people have to take entrance examination and go through all this hell is that we have failed to expand the facilities for legal education. That's the only reason. And this has led also to a situation where there is some perception of corruption in the admission process. I've been talking to some of those who studied the examination and so on. And we are being told that even though they said the pass mark was 50, some people managed to gain admission with 50%. Some people with 62% did not gain admission. How come? If this is true, how come? You know, the first time they published the list of persons who had passed, and then there's meditation, and then they published the list of persons, all persons who took the examinations with their index numbers. Many people who paid the relevant fees, got their index numbers and so on, did not have even their names on the board. Their names were not there. Their index numbers were not there. What happened? What happened to them? You know, and then it is alleged, there are some persons in the past who did not even take the examinations at all, gained admission. What a mess. What a mess. You know, I don't want to be misunderstood. I don't want to be misunderstood. But I read the manifestos of the various political parties for the last elections. At least one of the political parties clearly stated that it was committed to expanding the facilities for legal education in this country. What happened? What happened? How come that this year we are admitting less students than the number of students we admitted last year? What has happened? Massa, this is not just about Ghana Law School. It's about everything Ghanaian now. Everything Ghanaian now. Whether it has to do with recruitment into the security services, whether it has to do with admissions into teacher training colleges and so on. This is what we are seeing. And I think it's about time that we sanitize these processes. Because if we don't sanitize these processes, what will the future be for today's youth? You see, just imagine that somebody wants to be employed into the security services, the part of the security services that deals with customs duties and so on. And the person is told that before you come, you have to do some things. I don't want to mention them. You have to do some things. You have to show your level and so on. And the person manages and gets recruited. How will you be able to fight corruption at the ports? How would you be able to fight corruption at the ports? You are recruiting people into your security services to fight the narcotic trade, to fight illicit things and so on. And these people, before they get there, they have to do something. So if they do that something, how can you win the war against narcotics? How can you win the war against illicit things and so on? I think it's important for us to understand that all of these processes are part of the nation building effort, and they have to be done well. You know, when I hear fees that are being paid by persons who want to do law in this country, I cringe. I hear to go for the examination, you pay something like 1,500 cedis or 500 cedis, whatever. And then when you are finished and you are getting admission, you pay 9,000 Ghana cedis. Why? To acquire knowledge to serve your country, why? And these young men are being put through some harrowing experiences. Some of them have to travel as far as Senegal and Gambia and Rwanda and so on to go and struggle to get some certificates which will then enable them to complete, you know, their law education. And by the time they've gone through all this and finished, by the time they come back to Ghana, we are told that the rules have changed. Even all the effort you have made is meaningless. What is this? Meanwhile, some of those who are making the decisions did not go through this. They went through PPLA to become the lawyers that they have become today. They didn't go to school like Ghana Law School and so on. And they become big lawyers and big men and fat men and so on. And this is what they are doing to the younger generation. I feel very sad for the youth of today. They are being so unfairly treated. You understand? They are being so unfairly treated. But you see, in all of this, we, the older generation, who are being totally irresponsible, we, the older generation, who are not looking after the interests of the youth, should remember that this is how the seeds of revolution are sowed. So we are, consciously or unconsciously, sowing the seeds of the revolution. And when they germinate, we shall all see a smoothness level.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I have 8 minutes to go, so I don't know if it's the best time to introduce a topic, but maybe both comments on the last one. Just brief. I can afford 2 minutes each. So let me start from Mago. Yeah.
Sena, with teachers, World Teachers Day, you know, the teachers are not happy because they didn't see the president, they didn't see his vice, and the other prominent people that will make such an august occasion so colorful. So now all that I've got to say is that the teachers should not be surprised. Already the president told them, if you want to make money, don't go into teaching. And you see, in this country, you put your money where your mouth is, you understand? So the president has other important things doing, and I even though like it's so bad, so sad, but they shouldn't be surprised. But we are promising them. They know how we related with them, the ex-Wa Mahama government, and we are coming back again to give them the respect and the dignity that they deserve as teachers. We haven't done this to them before, and we are never going to do that. This is some of the clear distinction between the NDC and the MPP. I share in their pain, and I pray that 2024, all the concerned teachers and all the what class groups and all that, now they can see clearly the difference between NDC and the MPP. Thank you.
Thank you. Rashid Yauza Yendi says, despite coming to the flag bearership race as an underdog, I believe Baumia will lie his way through as he did twice to win the general elections for the MPP. Real dance for Baumia. Doc, please.
It's rather unfortunate that it happened, but I think sometimes explanation can mean it all. The Minister of Education, as we speak now, is managing the death of his mother, and it's unfortunate that we will try and score political gains from all of this. Nobody wishes that anybody should lose their mother, but it happened so suddenly, and this is one of the key reasons why he missed the occasion. And I'll beg our teachers to give that some consideration. His mother has been his pillar, and all of us, our mothers are our pillar. And I didn't want to really go political, but let's be mindful of the fact that one regime took away your allowances, another has brought. And I would wonder which one would be your preference. That I attend a show when my mother is dead, or at least give my mom some respect for my loss of my mother. And he was not in the best of mind to attend this occasion. So let's pardon the Minister of Education for this seemingly unfortunate two events that have happened to him. So as we speak, I was supposed to be in Busuntri for the 1 week celebration or arrangement, but this show was also very important for me. So I beg a little to differ from my dear sister's comments. And I'll add one thing. Teachers mean a lot to all of us. I'm where I'm at today because of good tutelage, both for my parents, my community, and my classroom. And there's that great importance that we afford teachers in our life, and they've molded all of us. We've all been influenced and are still being influenced by the teachers we met while I was growing up. So a very huge clap to all the teachers in our country and future teachers, and I wish them well, and may they take their profession very serious. It is a voluntary type service, and the benefits will hit them several years to come. Some of their students might become, quote unquote, very well endowed to do things for them that they wouldn't have been able to do on their own, if not for the shapings of their teachers. So I think recently there was a story of one student who bought a house for his teacher, and these are wonderful things that may happen to all of them, pair what the teacher did for this young lad. And we all have stories. I'm sure a lot of members of parliament go back to do wonderful things for their teachers. I won't cite all of mine here, but I think that we respect them, we love them, and we wish them well.
Thank you, Doc. This one does not come with a name. It says, you know that this law profession is a sole preserve of a small group of people. And you know, in those days, they were the only ones who smoke and drink everything. But you, the ordinary person, try and see. These gray hair old men do not want anything good for the youngest ones, except their children and concubines. Lolonya says, after they introduced the law exams, now their children can't pass, so they are pushed through the back door. ALHAJI.
Set aside to celebrate teachers, improve upon their situation and existence in the world, and I understand their concerns. And so it is important that teachers who are really responsible for the training of the future generation of your workforce are appreciated in ways that encourages them to continue to do their best. And that is why the absence of the minister is quite worrisome. And I understand, Dr. Adumako, you have not been put on any, you are not a deputy minister, are you?
Not yet.
And you are not a minister. And so you don't probably know that in the ministries there are deputy ministers. And so where a minister whether a minister's mother is bereaved, there's a deputy minister who can step.
Oh, okay. That is a very interesting point.
Action speaks louder.
Yes.
Very interesting
so
point.
Clearly, I was surprised that government did not show it. The teachers are trained as a teacher, you see, and that's why many people leave the teaching field.
mean, if you have a president who can go and say that teachers are not meant to teach.
No, anyways.
So that's why we leave the teaching field, because
there's a lot he said more than that. But
anytime. Meanwhile, if they don't go to school, the children will come out as
radicals. Rascals.
That's why we need to show a lot of concern and respect for teachers. It's very, very important, because they complement what we do at home. I mean, sometimes the teachers, our children look to their teachers more than to their parents.
Absolutely.
And so, if you don't actually appreciate the true concern, empathize with the teachers, then you are probably consigning the future of your children to nothingness, and that's bad. So let me say that on behalf of my party, the NDC, we are a social democratic party. We are not bourgeois. Simply,
I look bourgeois for you, yeah.
Yes, but look at the way your stomach is even pushing. Yeah, you see, we simply believe that people matter. And so teachers matter. In a developing country like us, teachers matter. So on behalf of my party, myself, and generality of Ghanaians thinking like
so we're going to increase the allowance?
We extend our heartfelt condolences or sympathies to them for the pains that they suffered.
And to the Minister of Education too.
Minister of Education and the government not appearing at their...
No, I thought his mother's loss.
At their celebrations in Kumasi. In any case, we think that they are doing enormously well for the people of this country. The government should do well to come to their aid and ensure that not only writing papers and books are available and textbooks are available, because they are not available now, but also their salaries are increased in such a way that they can feel comfortable.
Okay. Article 4 holders.
4%.
Article 4 holders.
It's not enough.
Thank you. Thank you. 2 messages. Uncle Kwesi, may you live long. You are the only man standing for the vulnerable. Says Mago, you're too much. And then there's another message that says, is asking for further details of what Mr. Pratt said. Sir Kwesi Pratt, a typical example of the lawyers who did not have to go through all this hassle before becoming lawyers are known. And he goes ahead to say, please mention just 2 of them. Kobla. Mr. Pratt.
Okay.
Just read the message.
I mean, teaching is a profession whose main concern is about the acquisition of knowledge and skills, the improvement of knowledge and skills, and the transfer of knowledge and skills to the future, generations. So it is obvious that without teaching, we cannot survive as a species. It must be obvious that without teaching, the whole world will collapse. This is the importance of teaching and teachers. Now, what have we done on World Teachers Day? Selected a few teachers, giving them accolades, best teacher of the year, and so on, and giving them gifts. Best teacher of the year, 250,000, go and build a house. Second one, go and buy a car, and so on. And we think it is sufficient. If we have to celebrate World Teachers Day, it has to be meaningful. It has to be something which enhances the practice of teaching. Something which makes teaching pleasurable. Something which makes teaching effective, and so on. We are celebrating World Teachers Day at a time when newly recruited teachers, it takes them more than 1 year to get their first salary. We are celebrating World Teachers Day at a time when allowances we promised are not paid. Allowances are meaningful only when they are paid. As for promising allowances, everybody can promise allowances, but they must be paid. You understand? We are celebrating World Teachers Day at a time when schools, many schools in the rural communities and so on, do not have blackboards. What does it take to construct a blackboard? When children in 2021 are still learning lying on their bellies in the sand. I saw a video of a school somewhere in the north in the rainy season, and I couldn't believe it. Teaching and teachers are an essential part of our life, and I think the time has come to show more respect to teachers and to promote teaching in its true essence.
Thank you very much. Well, on behalf of everybody sitting here and my production team, and of course, I think I can speak for Pan African Television on this occasion, that we wish to congratulate teachers for the wonderful work they continue to do. Unfortunately, we always tell you a reward in heaven is in heaven, but we do not know whether you are qualified to enter into heaven in the first place. But all we can do is to be grateful every day for the wonderful work you continue to do. And of course, when we are mentioning teachers, I think, Mr. Pratt, if I was to mention one of the people I've learned a lot from, who's taught me a lot, it to be you. So I will add you to the list of the teachers that I'm grateful for. Well, let me say once again, say a big thank you to Bedmeat Furniture Limited. Bedmeat Furniture Limited. Our couch is by courtesy of them, and we want you to also get the same thing. It's not only this one.
Give us some furniture for talk time.
Yes.
We will not reject it.
Yes. That one is a twist. That one is a two-man thing, so you will suffer too much. So you can provide more. But thank you. They are located at Achimota ABC Junction. If you want this kind of couches, sofas, bedroom set, kitchens, and office cabins, just give them a call. 0247 427777. 0247 427777. And today on Pan African TV, there's a lot more to come. Now, today there'll be talk time with Mr. Pratt, and the guest will be Honorable Roxanne Nelson Echeda Famekbo, who is Member of Parliament for North Dine, actually. South Dine. I was going to say South, then I saw North Dine. South Dine is a member of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee of Parliament, and he has been speaking about this issue with Mr. Pratt, the mass failure of law students. So they have a conversation, 1 hour conversation, where he will talk about some of the issues that have come up. And then what Progressive Woman, that will be at 8, between 8 to 9. But before that, there will be Progressive Woman. That's from 6 to 7 with Amma Pratt. And the guest today will be Delis Silla, who is an author and coach. And the topic will be culture, tradition, and today's woman. That's an interesting topic. So do make it the 6 to 7. But earlier, it will be diplomatic affairs with Harriet Nate, who will have Matilda Lomato Seyajiman, who is Director, Candidates Unit, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. They'll be talking about the role of Candidates Unit in Ghana's diplomacy from 4 to 5 p.m. Just something to learn about foreign diplomacy. I don't know why my producer decided to arrange it from the last one to the most earliest one, so quite confusing. Well, my name is Sena Nombo. A big thank you to Mr. Kwesi Pagina, who's manager of the Inside Newspaper. Always wonderful listening to him. Of course, ALHAJI Nusa Fuseni joined us today. He's a former member of Parliament for Tamale Central. We're joined by Dr. Dixon Adoma Kokisi, Member of Parliament for Anyaso Wutum, and Margaret Tanseh, popularly known as Margot. Thank you for making time. We say a big thank you to our affiliate station, Ahunto 92.3 FM, Volta 1 TV, Global FM, and the several others. And to you for making time. We are back same time next week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a fruitful week and meet us here.
May God bless him. Ghana show boy. Africa's great song. Sergeant for Dr. Kroma. Let's salute him, fellow Ghanaians. The nation's founder, Sergeant Kwame Nkrumah. May God bless him, Ghana showboy, Africa's great song, Sergeant Dr. Nkrumah. Let's salute him, fellow Ghanaians, the nation's founder, Sergeant Kwame Nkrumah. May God bless him, Ghana showboy, Africa's great song, Sergeant Dr. Nkrumah.